Hey everyone, Tim Anderson here, aka Renfail, and as we continue our march throughout the summer, rereading The Hobbit, The Lord of the Rings, and working towards the travesty that it appears Rings of Power is going to be, nevertheless, diving into all things Tolkien this summer, and recently came across this article on The Guardian talking about the lost scripts for a BBC Tolkien drama that aired in the mid 50s have been discovered. It's a fascinating read. We're going to be diving into that today. But before we do, prerequisite stuff. If this is your first time here, welcome to the channel. Hopefully you like this video, and if you do, you'll smash that like button, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you get updates like this delivered to you every time I got a new video coming out. I also stream every single morning, and we cover a lot of different things here, from movies to TV shows, books, video games, cooking, house renovation here at our place, all sorts of other stuff. It's a variety channel. We also play Lord of the Rings online together in our gaming community. Links to the Discord are down below. And if you'd like to check out my own fantastical works in the Weave and the Void, you can check that out at patreon.com/wandering hermits. So this article came out recently on March 12th, which was right before, it was literally right as I was getting ready to move. I got the internet shut off on the 12th, so I wasn't able to cover this until after we got into the new house, got the internet installed. But I've been reading this, just chomping at the bit, waiting to share this with everybody, because this is a fascinating look into the history of The Lord of the Rings and how at one point in time, especially right after its publication, it was not as big as it is today. It was not a global phenomenon. One listener to the radio drama actually called it boring. But also, it's fascinating because Tolkien was heavily involved in the adaptation of the scripts to get this on the air. So let's just dive in. I'm going to basically just be going through this article and covering things as we go along. So if you want to, don't forget the links to this are going to be down below if you want to read this at your leisure and dive into all the other existing materials. So basically, there is an Oxford academic who has been delving into the BBC archives and discovered the original scripts for two series of 12 radio episodes that broadcast in 1955 and 1956. It's important to note here that it was broken into two seasons across 12 episodes in total. So we had 6 episodes for The Fellowship of the Ring, and then we got 3 episodes for Two Towers and 3 episodes for Return of the King, essentially, which it does talk about a little later on. It says here Tolkien's fantasy masterpiece was dramatized by producer Terence Tiller, whose scribbled markings on the manuscript no doubt reflect his detailed discussions with the author and correspondence and meetings. Among the typed pages is a sheet with Tolkien's handwriting, including red crossings out showing his own reworking of a scene. We can open that up, but it's not going to allow us to see it in full size at the moment. The photograph is via the BBC Written Archives Center, Tolkien Estate Limited, who has the copyright. Fascinating stuff. And Stuart Lee, a reader at the English faculty in Oxford, said, "They said the scripts have been lost, but they have survived. The only professional dramatization of The Lord of the Rings made during Tolkien's lifetime. It was not seen as important by the BBC then, and it shows how reception to the book has changed, with minor interest in 1955 and 1956 to where it is today, a global phenomenon with Amazon investing more than $1 billion in the Rings of Power series. For better or for worse, I might add. We don't know how that's going to turn out. I'm very negative about it so far, but we shall see. Lee's discoveries are going to be featured in a forthcoming new book called The Great Tales That Never End, Essays in Memory of Christopher Tolkien, in which academics pay tribute to Chris Tolkien and his literary expertise over the years for all things Tolkien and Middle-earth, who died a few years ago in 2020. The book's going to be published in June by Bodleian Library Publishing and co-edited by Richard Ovenden, Oxford University's Bodley Librarian, and Catherine McIlwain, Tolkien archivist at the Bodleian Libraries. Let's scroll down in here. So this is the fascinating thing. So McIlwain talks about the fact that we see Tolkien engaged with the earliest adaptation of his work, The Lord of the Rings. Not only did he agree to the adaptation of his books soon after publication, but he was willing to work with the scriptwriters to abridge the text and adjust the balance of narration and dialogue so that it fitted the requirements of radio and the limited time available. It's a very exciting and timely discovery. So apparently, and by the way, I would love to know, I haven't dug anything up yet. I would love to know if there's any way that we could track these down. Are they available for people to listen to? Like, I would love to know this. So if anybody out there knows the answer to this or wants to go digging and find something that I haven't turned up, let's find out. I'm willing to bet they aren't, considering this from so long ago and it's just something that was turned up in the archives. But it's fascinating nonetheless, and it may be something that comes to light soon. We'll see if it's already out there. And this is where it talks about how the series was broadcast shortly after Tolkien's original works were published in three parts. First series covering the Fellowship of the Ring in 6 episodes, and then the second series condensing the Two Towers, Return of the King. And this is the sad part. It says that BBC bosses reduced each episode from 45 minutes down to 30 minutes, which was obviously to the dismay of Tolkien, considering he had spent a lot of time working on getting the abridged version right for the scripts and everything else. Um, and Lee had suggests that had the books been out longer and become more established, then perhaps the BBC senior managers would have agreed to each episode lasting 45 minutes instead of only 30, and perhaps even running into 3 series. It also talks about Tolkien's distaste for dramatizations, particularly after seeing Walt Disney's Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, which was based on the much darker 1812 Brother Grimm's fairy tale, which is not a Grimm story at all if you watch the Disney version. And in 1937, he wrote of his heartfelt loathing for Disney productions. Lee expressed surprise that the sheet bearing Tolkien's writing had been overlooked until now. And while one scholar had noticed its existence, it was not fully discussed, and Lee is publishing it in his essay for the forthcoming book. And this is the fascinating part to me. It says it bears Tolkien's redrafting of a scene in which Frodo Baggins, his companion Sam, and the warrior Aragorn refer to the evil wraiths in this manner. Frodo says, "What has happened? Where is the Pale King?" Sam says, "We lost you, Mr. Frodo. Where did you get to?" Frodo says, "Didn't you see them? The wraiths and the king." Aragorn says, "No, only their shadows." Tolkien then gave a description of the wraiths to the narrator, who linked the scenes. At once the shapes became terribly clear. He could see under their black mantles. In their white faces burned merciless eyes. Um, anyway, Lee's talking about here. Without the freedom allowed to him in the novel, he considered the best way to convey a description of the wraiths. First, rather clumsily, getting Frodo to say, "I put the ring on." Then the shapes became terribly clear. I could see their black under their black cloaks. But he rejected this in favor of using the narrator instead. It says the BBC files have also preserved audience reactions from the 1950s, with one listener complaining, "If we must occupy the third program with fairy tales, then let us have Enid Blyton." But the Observer's critic described the dramatization as the best light listening for the next 5 weeks. Fascinating. I want to listen to this. I mean, it's only 12 episodes, 30 minutes each, so we're not talking a Netflix show even. We're talking something very short and concise, but I don't know if they're out there available to the public. Um, but I think for me, this is a fascinating look into the fact that even though Tolkien himself despised film dramatizations, he was willing to work with the script version 20 years on after his, complaining about this and his dislike for Disney stuff, which may just have been his, given that the visual effects of the time were not capable of portraying what he saw in his mind. At the very least, doing a radio show where you had someone reading the words and helping the listener to see things internally, to him, that might have been a better medium. Obviously, we know that where we are today, watching like Peter Jackson's films and blending practical effects with CGI, we got something that was very well done and has still held up over the years, although it does look a little dated 20 years onwards. In any case, this was a fascinating read for me. Hopefully, you enjoy it as much as I do. Again, let me know your comments and thoughts down below. And if somebody has links to these, if they're out there, I'd love to hear that. But yeah, if you like this, don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell icon, all the good things if you want more content like this. I am actively reading right now. I'm in the middle of The Hobbit. I'm going to be reading The Hobbit, The Lord of the Rings, and The Silmarillion this summer, leading up to The Rings of Power, so that I can continue to talk about the Rings of Power show and all the ways that they're going wrong, and so that I can better analyze those episodes when they come out. I'm also going to be rereading The Wheel of Time at some point ahead of the second season of Wheel of Time, so I can kind of critique that a little bit more. So if you like that kind of stuff, if you also like video games and all that other stuff, yeah, definitely check out all the other playlists here on YouTube. Don't forget, we do have a Discord. Links are down below if you want to come hang out with us. We also do our gaming community who plays Thursday, Friday nights, and Saturday nights, Central Time from 8 p.m. onwards. I stream most mornings Central Time if you want to check that out. And of course, don't forget, if you want to support the channel, you can either support as a member here on YouTube, or you can head over to the Patreon page for the World of the Weeb and the Void, which is behind me, which is what I'm working on building with my wife and my brother. It is a 5th edition tabletop setting along with the novel series like Dragonlance and a point and click adventure game like the old King's Quest games, all of which are being produced over at patreon.com/wandering hermits. So hopefully we'll see you over there. Getting it for $3 a month. It's a great way to support, and you get access to the book chapters and beyond. You can pre-order all the stuff, so hopefully we'll see you there. Until next time, stay safe, everybody.